What is it that's holding you back, keeping you from becoming everything that God has created you to be, living your purpose and reaching your destiny? Is it self doubt, feeling that you don't measure up to others? Perhaps it's fear or lack of resources, offenses and challenges, maybe even past or current circumstances. Well, I want you to know that these are pathologies, diseases of the mind that negatively impact how you think and perceive things that invade your everyday life. You can overcome these peculiarities and become conquerors, living in the purpose that God has for your life. The Bible in Philippians 4:13 teaches us, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Hello, I'm your coach Dee Johnson, and I'm going to share with you on how you can overcome these pathologies and be all that God created you to be on today's Watering the Seed. Hey seeds, welcome back to Watering the Seed. This is the space where we grow on purpose no matter what tried to break us. Today's episode is about something that hits hard because it's way too common: bullying, specifically bullying from people who were supposed to be your friends. And I want to say this up front. If you've ever been bullied, teased, embarrassed, excluded, or laughed at for how you look, for your hair, for your voice, for being different, for simply existing, you were never the problem. You were just in the wrong environment. Now, a quick note before we get started. We're talking about a painful topic, so if this brings up emotions, please take care of yourself while you listen. Pause when you need to pause. Breathe when you need to breathe. And if you're a teen listening to this, and I hope so, I want you to know you deserve support in real life. You deserve support. A counselor, a trusted adult, a parent, an auntie, a mentor, uncle, somebody safe. You deserve that. All right, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So here's the situation that sparked this episode. A teenage girl, 15 years old, and we'll call her Lanice to protect her identity because she's underage. So Lanice is a beautiful, sweet young lady. She's very friendly and vibrant. The kind of girl where light just falls off her. Always laughing, always smiling, and she's smart. I mean, sharp as a whip. She's like a walking book of knowledge, always casually dropping little facts, theories, and her perspectives that have you looking like, wait, hold up. Am I the teenager here or what? I mean, she's a girl after my own heart, and honestly, if I had a daughter, she would definitely be it. She's absolutely adorable. So, about a week ago, Lanice called me and she asked if she could read me a poem she wrote. And of course, I said yes, and I was excited about this because I've been encouraging her to write for a while now. I've told her she should start with the children's book, maybe even turn it into a series one day. She also has this best friend, and she would tell me about the things, they were doing together, planning and hanging out, all the fun little things best friends do. So I suggested she keep a journal, but also start writing short stories, something like The Adventures of Me and My Best Friend. Just a way to capture her voice, her world, her creativity. So when she told me she'd written a poem, I was genuinely hyped about this thing. But as she started reading, my excitement slowly turned into confusion. Not because the poem didn't make sense, because it did. It was written well. It was thoughtful. It didn't feel like a poem. Someone writes, just for fun. Didn't seem like that. Didn't feel that way. It sounded more like a private letter to herself, something you tuck into a diary because it holds a pain you don't know how to say out loud. It sounded like the voice of someone who had been holding something in, someone who had been silenced and needed a safe way to let it out. And honestly, that's what writing can do. That's what writing can be for us. Because sometimes a poem isn't just art. Sometimes it's survival. Sometimes it's the only place your voice feels safe enough to speak. And in that moment, I realized this wasn't just Lenise. My teenage friend wrote a poem. This wasn't that. This was something deeper, something that needed space and attention and care. The poem she read me was called Code Switching. And she opened it with a definition, simple but heavy. I never heard of this term, by the way, so this was new to me. But she opened it up with this definition. And it says code switching when one tries to hide themselves to blend in with a crowd. So, right away, I knew this wasn't just a creative writing moment. This was her naming something real. She explained that she didn't even realize she'd been doing it until her older sister noticed a shift in her. Her sister basically told her, "This isn't you. You don't usually act like this." And that's when it clicked for her. She had changed, but so gradually she didn't see it happening. And this happens to many of us. Then Lanice went back into her childhood in this poem. She went back into her childhood. She said she grew up in a predominantly white school, and that was the environment she knew best. That culture felt familiar to her. It's what she mostly resonated with at that time. But as she got older, she started getting pushback, from Black American kids, mostly girls, who didn't accept her. They teased her and called her whitewashed, another term that very interesting. Never heard of these things. But Lanice was teaching me something, whether she knew that or not. So she explained in her poem what that meant in her world. And it was the idea that a black person is acting white or conforming to white culture so they'll be more accepted or so they'll seem more comfortable around white people or white people would seem more comfortable around them. So now she's carrying pressure from both sides. One side questioning whether she's black enough, the other side making her feel too black. The moment she shows any authenticity, and as she kept reading, she described a moment in middle school that really, really hit me. She says one day, those select friends turned on her. They made fun of her hair, they poked at her, they laughed, they embarrassed her. She said one of the white girlfriends criticized her for the oil she used in her hair, saying it looked greasy, as the other friends stood by and laughed at her. But it wasn't just the comment, it was the way the girl did it. She touched her hair, smirked, and made a face like she was disgusted, like her hair and her routine were something dirty. And she just stood there. She took it, not because she didn't feel it, but because in that moment she froze. And I need to explain to everyone listening here. explain explain this clearly. So hear me. Understand that freezing is a trauma response. It is not weakness. It is not letting them, as in allowing them to do it. No. No. It's not that. It's the nervous system going, I need to survive this moment. This moment of people I called my friends, people who I love and trusted, people I show my vulnerabilities to. And now those people are betraying me? And why? Or for what reason? What did I do? Hmm. But after that moment passes, the damage can linger. Because bullying doesn't just hurt feelings. Bullying, bullying can mess with confidence. It creates social anxiety. It triggers depression. It causes shame around one's identity. It can make someone feel unsafe and being unseen. Hmm. And when bullying is about hair, especially for many girls, hair is not just hair. Hair can be tied to culture, to femininity, self-expression, pride, identity, family, and tradition, and spirituality even. So when somebody attacks your hair, it can feel like they're attacking you. So as Lanice continues, she says, then that friend walked away. And that's when the story shifted because after that moment, the black girls came and instead of teasing her, they embraced her. They showed her how to love herself, her hair, her skin, her features, her chocolate, as she called it. They taught her that none of what makes her, her, is something to shrink, hide, or apologize for. And they didn't just affirm her, they equipped her. She said they taught her how to respond when people disapproved of her authenticity, not with shame, not with silence, but with bold, direct language. Language that basically says, mind your business. Don't project your issues onto me. And then she said something that really stood out. She called that her new version of code switching. Not code switching to blend in, but what she called language switching, meaning learning how to switch into a voice that protects her, one that sets boundaries and speaks up and doesn't beg to be accepted. Lanisa's story ended with her being surrounded by people who respected her authenticity because they shared her identity. They lifted her up and helped her, overcome her bullies by helping her embrace authenticity, her originality, by cultivating a mindset of acceptance and respect. So now, what's bullying? What's bullying? Let's talk about that. Let's define it. Bullying is repeated harm. It's a power play, okay? And it's humiliation. It's not just joking. It's not just joking if it's one-sided. It's not just joking. It's not just joking if it's meant to embarrass you and you're not laughing. If you feel small afterwards, if it keeps happening, if they do it in front of others for attention. It's not just joking. And friends who bully you are doing something very specific. They're trying to raise their social status by lowering yours. That's what that is. They're trying to boost their social status. They're trying to be accepted, okay, by making you feel less than. It's insecurity with the microphone. And when the bullying includes race or culture differences, and let's be careful and clear. This isn't about blaming a whole group of people, okay? A whole culture or a whole race. This is not about that. This is about naming a real dynamic that can happen. Sometimes people mock what they don't understand. Sometimes people mock what they've been taught to label as different. Sometimes people mock what they secretly wish they had the confidence to wear. But regardless of the bullies, the bully's race, the background, or excuses, cruelty is cruelty. Cruelty is cruelty. Now, let's talk about why she just stood there. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that freeze response. So now in that moment, the brain can choose, okay? It can make a choice to respond. And Many of you have probably heard the term fight or flight. Okay. Those are responses. Okay. Response to trauma. You either fight or you flee. Okay. Or you freeze or you fawn. Fawn meaning you people please. You do what they want you to do because it's pleasing to them. So these are the brain. This is the brain choosing to protect itself. Okay. Now, what freezing looks like is going quiet, maybe staring off into space, not responding at all, and feeling stuck in your body, just stuck. And then later, replaying it and thinking, why didn't I say anything? And if that's you, please know this. Your body wasn't failing you, it was protecting you. It wasn't failing you, it was protecting you. The goal was to shame you, okay? But now that's not the goal. Right now, the goal is not to shame you. The goal now is to rebuild you, rebuilding confidence and creating a plan for next time, if there is a next time. Because confidence isn't just something you have, confidence is something you practice. Okay? So now, what do we do next? We're going to handle bullying in 3 layers: emotional repair, practical protection, voice and boundary training. That's what we're going to do to handle these bullies. Okay? First, we restore our inner world. Emotional repair, restoring our inner world, because bullying tries to plant a lie. The lie may sound like I'm ugly, I'm weird, something's wrong with me, I should change to be accepted. We uproot that lie immediately. Immediately, it's a lie. It's a lie. To the teen listening, you don't need to become smaller to be safer. You need to become supported. You need to become supported. So try these affirmations, okay? And say them slowly. Say them slowly. If it's about the hair, as it was with Lanice, my hair is not a joke. My body is not a debate. I don't audition for friendship. I deserve respect in every room that I enter. What they mocked, I can still love, and I will. Okay? And for the caregivers out there, after bullying, don't rush straight into you should have said something or you should have did this, or don't encourage, don't don't encourage that. And I get it because listening to Lanice read this, those emotions sparked. I mean, they just came right up to my surface. Like, what in the world? And I was a little thrown back because she hadn't told me this, and this was an incident that had happened to her like maybe a year or so earlier, but obviously it still resonated, and people carry these things through their adulthood, all the way, probably some of them till their death, if it's not dealt with properly, for sure. And it impacts our life, how we do things, how we move, the decisions that we make. This is serious. This is serious. So yes, it did spark some emotions within me. It absolutely did. I was a product of that environment myself, as many of you out there listening probably was as well. So I get it. I get it. But don't encourage that. Okay? Don't encourage them retaliating. Instead, at least not in that way. But instead, start with, saying, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that happened to you. That was wrong. And thank you for telling me. And then check in by asking, how are you feeling today? Because this creates, safety, a safe space for them. Okay. And then number 2, practical protection. Okay. Document, report, and support. Bullying needs sunlight, not secrecy. So we don't want to hide this. We don't want to cover it up. We want to expose it. So here are some steps, some action steps that you can take to do that. Write down what happened. Give it a date, a time, a place, who was involved, and if there were witnesses, write down the names of the witnesses. Okay? Write it down. Save screenshots if it's online because we get a lot of bullying online. Save the screenshots. That'll give you date and time, all that information right away. And then report it. If it happened in school, report it to the school counselor or the administrator. Ask, what is the school's documented bullying response policy? Find out, what's the policy? And then request a follow-up plan. A follow-up plan may include seating changes if it's happening in classrooms and the person is seated by the bully. Maybe you want to have the seating changed, arrangement switched up. And then supervision for the bully or the bullies, and regular check-ins for the person being bullied. And also the bullies, because something is going on within them to make them feel so insecure where they feel like they have to pick on someone else to make themselves feel better. Something's going on. They need counseling too. But they need to know that this behavior is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. And listen, reporting isn't snitching. I hear this kind of stuff all the time. This is nonsense. It's ludicrous. Reporting isn't snitching. Reporting is protecting. It's protecting. It's protection. Because bullying escalates when it's allowed. It gets worse and things could get out of control. And young bullies grow up to become adult bullies. So report it as soon as it happens. Also, make sure the person being bullied is not handling this alone. They need a trusted teacher, a counselor, a parent or guardian, a mentor, a relative who shows up. Support is a shield, so make sure that someone is covering him or her. In Lanice's experience, she had support from people who may have been in her position at one time, and knew exactly how to handle these bullies. I mean, I'm impressed with the way that they covered her because these are her peers. These were not adults, these were her peers. And I'm highly impressed by the way they covered her. That was truly a blessing. They gave her the right words to use, teaching her how to handle the situation while embracing her authenticity. This was voice and boundary training, which is our next, number 3. Voice and boundary training. What to say next. So here's some more language she could have used to help set boundaries. Not paragraphs, but power sentences. And they come in, 3 levels. And you can practice these in the mirror, okay? So let's get started. Level 1, calm and direct. Make sure you're calm and direct. Don't talk about my hair. That's not funny. Stop. You're being rude. Okay? That's level 1. Level 2, clear boundary and exit. Okay? Set clear boundaries, then make an exit. I'm not doing this. Goodbye. I don't stay where I'm disrespected. You're not my friend. Friends don't do that. Okay? And then level 3, a public shutdown, for when they want an audience, when they want to do this and put it on display. They want an audience. You're trying to embarrass me. It's not working. You're doing the most for attention. What's funny about bullying? Okay, that's level 3, public shutdown. This is what you say to them. That'll shut them down. And then walk away. Not because you lost, because you refuse to perform pain for them. And remember these things. Confidence is always a posture, okay? Confidence is also a posture. Always. So practice this. Your shoulders back, your chin level, and your voice steady. Even if your heart is racing, even if it's doing cartwheels, it's thumping so fast you can't hardly speak. Try to compose yourself. Compose yourself. Posture is very important, for showing confidence. Always. Remember that. So, shoulders straight and pull back, your chin level, and your voice steady. Okay? Even if your nervous system is all out of whack, stay calm. Okay? Now, let's talk about the friend. The friend part. Oh boy. Let's talk about the friend and who to cut off because this is not your friend. These are not friends. So they need to be cut off. Sometimes bullying is not random. Sometimes it's a social climbing. This is what they're trying to do. They're trying to climb socially. Okay? So they feel like picking on somebody or bullying someone or putting them down is going to boost their social status. A friend who humiliates you in public is not confused. Don't think that. They're not. They are very clear on what they're doing. They're choosing that role. So here's the truth. You can miss people who were bad for you, but you do not go back to people who tried to break you or broke your spirit for entertainment purposes. Okay? You don't do that. Do not go back to those people. If they did it once, they'll do it again. They'll just get better at it. Okay? So do not go back to people who tried to break you. Don't. They're doing it for entertainment. They want a whole darn audience. Access to you needs to be earned by respect. If they apologize but keep doing it, that's manipulation. That's manipulation. If they say you're too sensitive, that's gaslighting. And for my teens, if they only act right around adults, that's proof. That's proof that they know it's wrong. They know exactly what they're doing. That's your proof. Do not go back to that. And for those bystanders, those that are standing by, you know, my bystanders. If you're listening and you've ever watched someone get bullied, here's how to help without making it worse. Stand beside the person being bullied. Literally, stand beside them, stand next to them. Change the moment. When they walk away, go with them. When the bully is bullying, call it out and be short about it. That's not okay. That's being short. Let them know that's not okay. And then check in afterwards. Check in with the person that's been bullied and let them know that you saw that and ask them if they're okay. Offer to walk with them, sit with them, or report it with them. Because if you witnessed it, you have an obligation to report that. Report it. Don't let the bully walk away thinking that they've gotten away with something. Absolutely not. Sometimes one ally rewrites the whole story. One ally can rewrite this whole entire story, the whole entire script. So be a good bystander. If you're watching something like that happen, help the person being bullied. Help that person because it could be you next. You never know. Now let's do a quick check-in. I have some reflection questions and I'd like for you guys to write these down because it's really important that you understand, this whole bullying thing because this is serious. This can change people's lives, and it has changed people's lives. So let's do a quick check-in. I have 5 questions. I have 5 questions, so get your pen and paper ready, and we're going to go over these reflection questions really quickly. All right, number one, where did bullying try to make you feel ashamed? Where did bullying try to make you feel ashamed? Write that down and answer it later. This is your reflection. Number two, what part of you have you been shrinking to avoid being targeted? Okay. If standing in the background trying to avoid people that bully, that's shrinking yourself. If you're used to cracking jokes and laughing and having fun with your friends, and then a bully just kind of made you feel embarrassed in front of those friends, those group of friends, so now you don't crack the jokes and you don't laugh, that's shrinking yourself. Okay. If they told you your hair was too kinky or whatever, or too straight, or however that works, you don't straighten your hair to make them comfortable. And if your hair is straight, you don't make it kinky to make them comfortable. That's shrinking yourself. That's shrinking yourself. Don't do that. Okay, number three. What boundary do you need to practice saying out loud? And I gave you some of those. Okay, I gave you those boundaries, what you need to say out loud. I'm not doing this. Goodbye. I don't stay where I'm disrespected. You're not my friend. Friends don't do that. Those are boundaries. Okay. Number four, who feels emotionally safe to talk to this week? If you've been bullied, and if it's something in the past, as it was with Lanice, and maybe Lanice is still carrying some of this. I kind of feel like she might be, even though she was given the words to say, and the permission to be authentically herself, which she didn't need permission in the first place. But I'm glad those young ladies helped her with that. Okay, but she still may be carrying some residue behind that. So, question number four, who feels emotionally safe to talk to this week? So, if you are carrying something like that, find someone that you feel safe in sharing that with. I believe that Lanice was still carrying that, and she felt that I was safe enough to bring that to. And she put it in a poem, maybe because she didn't know how to approach me with it. I'm not sure. I haven't had that conversation. I'm still a little thrown back from it, but I definitely will be having that conversation with her very soon. Okay, she lives out of state, so we conversate via phone and via uh, uh, messenger with video chat and things like that, Zoom calls and all that. That's how we communicate. And so it's not very often, but it's at least maybe twice a month. Other than that, we do little text messages back and forth. She's a lovely young lady. She is such a beautiful spirit. And she wakes me up in the mornings with a text before before she goes to school. And so I like to respond with, little funny morning texts based on how I'm feeling at that time. So if I'm feeling groggy and I don't want to get up, I may send her a GIF that's someone dragging themselves out of bed with their hair all over their head. And it's all fun, and this is how we communicate. Again, she's a lovely spirit, full of life. And someone wants to steal that from her. Someone wants to shrink that in her because they don't have that in them. So they want to take it. They don't want her to have it. But that's hers. That's who she is. That's who she authentically is. And that makes them uncomfortable. And that means that they need to find out why, or their parents need to find out why their child feels that way. They need to get some help. Period. Okay. So again, number four, who feels emotionally safe to talk to this week? Find that person. Find that person. Number five, what would change if you believed you deserve respect without proving anything? What would change? What would change? Write that down. Reflect on that. To Lanice and every teen that's listening, I need you to know this. Being mocked doesn't mean you're mockable. Okay? Being targeted doesn't mean you're weak. It usually means you have something they don't. Okay? And we just talked about that. It usually means that you have something they don't. And your hair is not the punchline. Your hair is the crown. Your hair is the art. Your hair is the expression. Your hair is your story. That's what that is. And if anybody can't honor that, they don't get access to you. Plain and simple. If they can't honor that, they don't get access to you. Point blank and period. Listen, Seeds, if this episode helped you, please share it with someone who needs a reminder that they don't need, okay? They don't need people to validate them. They don't need that. They don't have to survive by shrinking themselves. If you're in school, you don't have to survive school by shrinking. And if you're a parent, auntie, uncle, or mentor, check on your kids, not just grades. Not just grades, not just behavior. Check on their spirit because you never know what your kids are going through. Sometimes a teen is carrying humiliation quietly and calling it fine. Oh, I'm fine. I know about this all too well. I was Lanice. I have my own stories. Not story, but stories. Lots of them. Because I've never had anyone to tell me how to handle bullies. I was bullied as a kid, and then I was bullied as a teenager, bullied as a young adult, bullied as an adult, a full grown woman with children and grandchildren, and still being bullied until I stopped it myself because nobody showed me how to do this. So I learned throughout the years how to handle a little bit at a time until it came full circle and I gained my voice. And it was all a spiritual awakening for me. It gave me power, it gave me authority, it gave me a voice that had been silenced for years, for a lifetime, for a lifetime. So I'm here to say that it absolutely could have a lifetime impact on someone if it's not taken care of immediately. So to Lanice and all the other people out there who've been bullied or who's being bullied, just know that you're not alone. But more importantly than that, you're not powerless and you don't have to heal in silence. Know that. I love you guys. I truly love you. So until next time, keep watering those seeds.